Hello everyone. My name is Linda and I want to tell you a story that happened to my friend Daisy. I named this story as, at Christmas, my sister got a new car, I got a piggy bank and $10. Mom smiled, that's our contribution to your future home. So I packed my things and left. Then my phone buzzed, don't forget to pay the utility bills. Well, let's go. My name is Daisy and I'm 21 years old. I live with my parents and my younger sister Helen, who's 17. Let me tell you about my life. 3 years ago, right after I graduated high school, I wanted to go to college. But my parents said they couldn't afford it. So I got a job at the supermarket warehouse instead. It wasn't great work, but it paid decent money. At first, I thought I'd save up for college myself. But that's not how things worked out. Mom started asking me to help with bills, first the electric, then groceries, then Helen's clothes for school. Before I knew it, I was paying for almost everything: utilities, cable TV, internet, groceries, Helen's stuff. It's just temporary, Dad would always say, but it never was. My old car kept breaking down constantly. The transmission, alternator, brakes, radiator, everything fell apart. Each repair cost hundreds of dollars I didn't have. Meanwhile, Helen never worked, never contributed a single cent to our family budget, but she got everything she wanted. For 3 years, I worked 50-hour weeks just to keep everyone else happy while my dreams got pushed away. I bought everyone Christmas presents with money I'd saved from working extra shifts. I didn't expect much in return, but I hoped my family would at least acknowledge everything I'd done for them. On Christmas Eve, I worked a brutal 12-hour shift at the warehouse. I was exhausted, covered in sweat, and my back was killing me. All I wanted was to go home and have a quiet Christmas with my family. As I pulled into our driveway, I saw something that made my heart race. There was a brand new red car parked in front of our house with a huge red bow tied around it. For one incredible moment, I thought it might be for me. My parents knew how much I needed a new car. They'd seen me cry when my piece of junk broke down for the 4th time this year. Maybe they'd finally realized how much I'd sacrificed for this family. I sat in my dying car, staring at that beautiful new vehicle, and let myself imagine what it would feel like to drive something that actually worked. Maybe this was the sign that my family finally understood what I'd been going through. I took a deep breath and walked toward the house, ready to be surprised. But when I opened the front door, I heard Helen's loud voice from the living room. "Oh my God, can you believe it? My parents just gave me a brand new car for Christmas," she was saying into her phone, practically shouting with excitement. "I know, right? It's so pretty and shiny. I'm going to look so cool driving to school." I froze in the doorway. The car was for Helen? Helen, who was still in high school. Helen, who had never worked a day in her life. Helen, who hadn't invested a single cent in our family budget. I felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. I looked around and saw that our living room was full of guests, aunts, uncles, family friends, all sitting around our dining table with fancy Christmas decorations and a huge feast spread out. Everyone was laughing and celebrating while Helen continued bragging on the phone. Mom and Dad immediately came over to me with big smiles on their faces. "Daisy, there you are," Dad said, clapping me on the shoulder. "What a great day this is. Did you see the cool gift we gave Helen? Isn't it amazing?" I just stared at them, not knowing what to say. "But don't worry," Dad continued, "we didn't forget about you either." He reached into a regular supermarket plastic bag and pulled out a small ceramic piggy bank. It still had multiple price tags stuck to it, clearance stickers showing it had been marked down several times. Helen, who was still on the phone but watching the scene, burst out laughing. "Here you go, sweetie," Mom said solemnly, like she was presenting me with something precious. "This way you'll be able to start saving for your future home. We know you've always dreamed of having your own place." Dad nodded seriously, "There's already $10 in there. That's our contribution to your future home." I looked down at the piggy bank in my hands. It wasn't even wrapped. The price tags were still on it. It was literally in a grocery store bag. I was in complete shock. At that moment, Helen finished her phone call and bounced outside. Through the window, I watched her posing for selfies against her shiny new car, making kissy faces and peace signs. Meanwhile, my parents continued talking. "Now Daisy," Dad said, "you need to be more tolerant and frugal. You don't have to spend money on all sorts of nonsense. You need to learn how to save every cent, and you should listen to what your parents tell you." Mom nodded along. "That's right. The most important thing in children's lives is advice from their parents. The value of a gift isn't as important as the attention and care from your mother and father." I stood there speechless, holding that stupid piggy bank with its clearance stickers, watching my sister take glamour shots with her brand new car. Finally, I found my voice. "What does this mean?" I asked quietly. "Is this really what you prepared for me?" Mom looked surprised by my question. "Of course it's not a joke, honey, it's a very good gift." "But this isn't fair," I said, my voice getting louder. "You gave me a piggy bank and you gave Helen a new car?" Dad smiled and shook his head. "Daisy, don't make such a sour face. You should be grateful to us. You should be happy with any gift. You're already an adult," he continued. "You have a job and you can take care of yourself. Helen is younger and she needs our support now. She's going to college soon and she'll need a car to get to school." "But you didn't help me get into college," I said, feeling my chest tighten. "Somehow you found money for Helen but not for me." Mom put her hand on my arm. "We're sure you'll continue to provide financial assistance to us, dear. Together we'll save up for Helen's college expenses." I stared at both of them, realizing that nothing had changed. They still saw me as nothing more than a paycheck. After 3 years of sacrificing everything for this family, they gave my unemployed sister a car and handed me a clearance piggy bank with $10 in it. Without saying another word, I turned and walked to my room, closing the door behind me. I sat on my bed staring at that stupid piggy bank. The price tags were still stuck to it, $12.99 marked down to $4.99. My parents couldn't even spend $5 on a proper gift for me. I opened my dresser drawer and started packing. I grabbed my duffel bag and stuffed clothes into it. I left the piggy bank sitting on my dresser where they couldn't miss it. I could hear the party continuing downstairs. People laughing, glasses clinking, everyone celebrating Helen's new car while I was up here falling apart. I called Jessica, my coworker from Supermart. She was from another city and didn't have family nearby. "Hey Daisy, Merry Christmas," she answered. "Jessica, would it be okay if I came over? I can't stay here tonight." "Of course, what happened?" "It's a long story, I'll tell you when I get there. Come over whenever you want, you're always welcome here." I finished packing and walked quietly through the house with my bag. As I passed the living room, I saw everyone eating and celebrating. Not one person looked in my direction. Not one person noticed me leaving. Jessica lived in a small apartment 20 minutes away. When I got there, she had set up a simple Christmas dinner. I told her everything, about the car, about Helen bragging, about the piggy bank with clearance stickers. "A piggy bank, after everything you've done for them?" Jessica said. "With $10 in it," I added. Jessica shook her head. "That's not okay, Daisy. I know, they don't see me as their daughter. They see me as someone who pays their bills." "You can stay here as long as you need," Jessica said. "I've got a pull-out couch." We spent the evening watching movies and talking. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. The next day passed quietly. Jessica and I just relaxed, ate leftovers, and I tried not to think about my family. My phone was silent all day. But the evening of the next day, my phone exploded with calls and messages. First Mom, then Dad, then Helen, then all of them again. "Daisy, where are you? Why are you being so dramatic? Come home right now." I realized they had only just noticed I was gone. It took them over 24 hours to figure out I wasn't there. That told me everything I needed to know about how much they actually paid attention to me. They kept asking why I was offended and where I had disappeared to. I didn't answer any of their calls or texts. The calls and messages continued for 3 more days straight. My phone was constantly buzzing. Daisy, come home, we need to discuss everything. Stop acting like a child, you're being ridiculous, we're your family. But I ignored all of it, every call, every text, every voicemail. I had nothing to say to them. On the 4th day, I was at work in the supermarket warehouse when my manager came up to me. Daisy, your parents are here to see you, he said. They're waiting by the customer service desk. My stomach dropped, I hadn't expected them to show up at my job. I walked out to the front of the store and saw Mom and Dad standing there looking uncomfortable. Other customers were walking around them, and they looked out of place in the busy store. As soon as they saw me, they started talking. Daisy, you shouldn't have reacted like that, Mom said immediately. We didn't want to hurt you. We'll give you a very nice gift someday too, Dad added quickly. You just need to be patient. I looked at both of them and started laughing, I couldn't help it. What, next time it'll be a piggy bank with $20, I said. They both looked confused by my reaction. Have you forgotten how much I've helped you over the past few years? I asked. They didn't say anything, so I continued. I've been constantly buying groceries for our house. I pay all the bills, electricity, water, gas, internet, cable TV. I buy clothes for Helen. I spend almost all my money on you guys. I was getting louder, and other customers were starting to stare, but I didn't care. I don't even have enough money to repair my own car properly, even though I work full-time. And you gave a brand new car to Helen, who hasn't earned a single dollar in her entire life. Mom finally spoke up, Helen's social life is very important to her. The attention from her friends and peers matters. You've always been independent, Daisy. We didn't think those things were as important to you. I stared at her in disbelief. Independent? I've been supporting all of you for 3 years. But you're good at taking care of yourself, Dad said. Helen needs more help. Helen needs to get a job, I said, and you both need to figure out how to pay your own bills. Daisy, please, Mom said, let's go home and talk about this properly. No, I said firmly, I've told you everything I needed to say, you need to leave. But sweetie. Leave, I repeated, I have to get back to work. I turned around and walked back into the warehouse, leaving them standing there. My hands were shaking, but I felt lighter somehow. I had finally said what I'd been thinking for years. When my shift ended that evening, I checked the parking lot carefully to make sure they weren't waiting for me. They were gone, but I knew this wasn't over. 2 weeks passed quietly. I was staying with Jessica and getting used to the peace of not having constant demands on my money. For the first time in 3 years, I could actually see my paycheck go into my bank account and stay there. Then my phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Don't forget to pay the utility bills this month, they're due on the 15th. I stared at the message in disbelief. After everything that had happened, after our confrontation at Supermart, she was still expecting me to pay their bills like nothing had changed. I typed back quickly, there will be no more payments from me. My phone immediately started ringing. Mom calling, then Dad, then Mom again. I didn't answer any of them. Then the text messages started flooding in. Daisy, you're being cruel and ungrateful, you're acting crazy, we were counting on you, you can't punish your family like this, how could you abandon us? I read through all of them, feeling my anger build with each message. They still didn't get it. They still thought I was just throwing a tantrum that would blow over. I blocked all their numbers. But I wasn't done yet. I opened my banking app on my phone and found the joint account I shared with my parents. They had access to it so they could pay bills automatically. I removed their access immediately and canceled all the automatic payments, utilities, internet, cable TV, phone service, everything. What are you doing? Jessica asked, seeing me focused intensely on my phone. Taking back control of my money, I said. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is your mother. Your father can't live without cable TV and Helen needs internet for her school projects. Fix this immediately. They were using someone else's phone to contact me. I deleted the message without responding. A couple days later, my phone rang with another unknown number. This time I answered, thinking it might be work. Daisy, this is Aunt Linda. Aunt Linda was Dad's sister. I hadn't talked to her in months. Hi, Aunt Linda, I said cautiously. Honey, what's going on with your family? Your mother called me saying you had some kind of nervous breakdown and that you abandoned them. She said you need help. I took a deep breath. That's not what happened at all. Can you tell me what really happened? So I told her everything. About working for 3 years to support my family, about paying all their bills while Helen contributed nothing, about the Christmas car for Helen and the clearance piggy bank for me. I had no idea you were helping them financially, Aunt Linda said when I finished. Your parents told everyone that you refused to go to college because you wanted to work instead. That's not true at all. I wanted to go to college, but they said they couldn't afford it. Then I ended up paying for everything anyway. What are you going to do now? I'm going to start saving money for myself for once. Maybe I can finally go to college. You know what, Daisy? Why don't you come visit me and your Uncle Mark this weekend? We'd love to see you. I agreed, and that Saturday I drove to their house across town. Aunt Linda and Uncle Mark had always been nice to me, but we didn't see each other often. We're so glad you came, Aunt Linda said, giving me a big hug. Sit down, tell us more about what's been happening. But first, Uncle Mark said, we need to ask you something. Why didn't you tell us about your college situation earlier? Your parents always told us you chose not to go to school. I've always wanted to study, I said. But I didn't have money for college because I was helping my family. I couldn't save anything for myself. Uncle Mark and Aunt Linda exchanged a look. You know, Uncle Mark said slowly, our son Jake decided not to go to college. He joined the army instead. We had money set aside for his education that we're not using. We could help you, Daisy, Aunt Linda added. We could give you that money for college. You could pay us back when you're able to. I felt tears starting to form in my eyes. Are you serious? Completely serious, Uncle Mark said. You deserve a chance to build your own future. I would pay you back every penny, I said, I promise. We know you would, Aunt Linda said. You've proven how responsible you are. I could start preparing for admission right away, I said, getting excited. I could go to college this fall. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking about different schools and programs. For the first time in years, I felt hopeful about my future. But my family wasn't giving up. Over the next few weeks, I kept getting calls from random numbers. As soon as I heard Mom's, Dad's, or Helen's voice, I hung up immediately. Then I started getting notifications from my bank app. Someone was trying to make transactions from our old joint account, shopping at department stores, pharmacy purchases. But the bank rejected them all because I had blocked their access. Finally, I got an email from Helen's school account. Daisy, this is Helen. Mom and Dad can't pay the loan for my car. The bank wants to take it away. You have to help us or I'll lose my car. I read the email twice, then deleted it without responding. Jessica found me laughing on her couch that evening. What's so funny? She asked. Helen's car is getting repossessed, I said. She emailed me begging for help. And you're not going to help? Nope, I said, not my problem anymore. Good for you, Jessica said, you're finally putting yourself first. She was right. For the first time in my adult life, I was thinking about what I wanted instead of what everyone else needed from me. It felt strange, but also liberating. I was going to college, I was going to build my own life. And my family was going to have to figure out how to survive without using me as their personal ATM. The calls and emails continued, but I ignored all of them. I had more important things to focus on now, like planning my future. Summer came and went while I prepared for college. I spent my free time researching schools, filling out applications, and studying for placement tests. For the first time in years, I was excited about my future instead of just surviving day to day. At the end of August, I decided it was time to go back to my parents' house one last time. I needed to collect the rest of my belongings before leaving for college. I also wanted to see how they were doing without my financial support. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed Helen's car was gone. The driveway looked empty and sad without that shiny red sedan. I knocked on the front door, and Mom answered immediately. Her face lit up when she saw me. "Daisy, oh honey, you're home," she said, pulling me into a hug. "I'm so happy you finally decided to come back to us. We can be a close family again." Dad appeared behind her, smiling broadly. "We knew you'd come to your senses eventually. Welcome home, sweetheart." I stepped back from Mom's hug. "I'm not here to stay. I'm just picking up the rest of my things." Their smiles faded a little, but Mom kept talking like she hadn't heard me. "You know, Helen is really upset that the bank took her car away," she said sadly. "We're going to have to figure out how to get her another one. Maybe after you help us get back on our feet, you can start saving for a new car for yourself too." I stared at them both. Even now, after months of me being gone, they still didn't understand anything. "Helen's car got repossessed?" I asked. "Well, yes," Dad said. "We couldn't keep up with the payments after you left. But now that you're back, we can work together to fix everything." "I'm not back," I said clearly. "I told you, I'm just getting my things. I'm leaving for college next week." Mom's face went pale. "College? But Daisy, you can't leave us. We need you here." "You don't need college." "Where did you get money for college?" Dad demanded. "There are people who believe in me and helped me," I said calmly. Mom started crying. "We can't cope without you, Daisy. We need your financial help. You can't abandon your family like this." "These are your problems now," I replied. "You need to learn to live within your means." I walked past them into the house and went straight to my old room. It looked exactly the same as when I left it on Christmas night. The piggy bank was still sitting on my dresser where I'd left it, still with its clearance price tags. I packed the rest of my clothes, books, and personal items into boxes. As I worked, I could hear my parents talking loudly in the living room. "She's being completely unreasonable," Dad was saying. "How are we going to pay the bills?" Mom replied. "And what about Helen's college fund?" I carried my boxes out to my car. My parents followed me outside, still trying to convince me to stay. "Daisy, please," Mom begged, "just think about this. We're your family." "You had 3 years to think about me," I said, loading the last box into my trunk. 3 years to appreciate what I was doing for all of you. Instead, you gave Helen a car and gave me a clearance piggy bank. "We said we'd get you something nice eventually," Dad protested. "When? After I paid for Helen's entire college education? After I bought her another car? After I spent my whole life working to support everyone else's dreams?" They didn't have an answer for that. I said goodbye to Jessica, who cried a little when I left. "I'm going to miss you so much," she said. "But I'm so proud of you for doing this." I also said goodbye to Aunt Linda and Uncle Mark, promising to call them every week and send updates on my grades. "You're going to do amazing things," Uncle Mark said, hugging me tight. "We believe in you." The drive to my new college town took 3 hours. I had found a small apartment near campus and gotten a part-time job at a cafe down the street. I'd calculated that between my job income and careful budgeting, I could cover rent, groceries, and textbooks without any problem. My new apartment was tiny, just a studio with a kitchenette and a small bathroom. But it was mine. Nobody could demand money from me here. Nobody could take my earnings and spend them on things I didn't agree to. I spent my first evening in the new place organizing my belongings and making plans for the week. Classes started Monday, and I was nervous but excited. On Sunday night, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered it. "Daisy," it was Mom's voice. "Honey, please come home. We can't pay the mortgage without you." We might lose the house. Then you should have thought about that before you decided I wasn't worth more than a $5 piggy bank, I said. We're sorry about the gift, okay? We'll make it up to you. This isn't about the gift, Mom. This is about 3 years of treating me like an ATM instead of a daughter. But we love you. You love my paycheck, I corrected. You never loved me enough to help me go to college. You never loved me enough to appreciate my sacrifices. You never even loved me enough to notice I was gone for over 24 hours. Daisy, please. I hung up and immediately blocked the number. My first week of college was everything I had dreamed it would be. My professors were inspiring, my classmates were interesting, and I was finally learning things I was passionate about. I was studying business with a minor in psychology, and every class felt like a step toward the future I wanted. The cafe job was perfect too. My coworkers were other college students, and my manager was understanding about my class schedule. I made enough money to cover my expenses and even had a little left over each month. For the first time in my adult life, I was living for myself. I was making decisions based on what I wanted, not what other people needed from me. I was building something that belonged to me alone. My family tried calling a few more times over the first month, always from different numbers. But I had learned to recognize their voices immediately and hung up every time. I decided not to maintain a relationship with them, at least not for now. Maybe someday in the future, if they learned to see me as a person instead of a source of money, we could try again. But for now, I needed to focus on building my own life.